What's going on, everybody? It is the Sith Council Big Thing Show. Thanks for joining us here today. I actually have the full council. I'm excited about that. And what are we going to talk about? The Mandalorian, of course. Second episode is a full-on spoiler discussion. But I'll tell you, it's not going to be the entire show. I mean, it'll be a lot of the show. But we have more to talk about. Sometimes it's like, well, it's really going to be the only thing we can discuss because there's not a lot of Star Wars news. Tons of Star Wars news. One of the big stories that we're definitely going to cover, well, looks like they are going to announce some stuff at Star Wars Celebration. We got the panel breakdown of the main panels and big announcements as far as when everything is happening. But inside of the announcements of films, the Lindelof one is still Vegas odds, the one to be announced. But what we do know, at least from a report from Variety, it looks like that Patty Jenkins movie, not happening. We predicted that. Kevin Feige movie, ain't happening. We thought that might happen. Taika Waititi, still happening apparently, and now he's going to co-star in the movie. Didn't see that one coming. We'll discuss it at length, but we'll talk a little bit about Bad Batch and more, but it is Sith Council. Now listen, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what he's very excited about is this. We have 70,000. We're approaching 70,000, and we just hit
69, dude!
That's right, Bill. That's right, Ted. We did it. We're 1,000 away. And you guys could show a little class, subscribe, and help us get to 70. We're almost there. We can get rid of this logo and this splash and make a new one because we're almost at that road to 70. You got to help us out. You like Sith Council? Me too. Get yourself one of these. I love them. They're really great. I got Steph, the You Don't Know-ish. Hasn't worn it once.
That's a lie.
Well, not in front of me.
Okay. That's true.
So make sure you get that. And get yourself over to Spotify as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. Make sure you check that out. All right, everybody. I'm excited to get us into this. There's going to be a lot to talk about. It's myself. It's Steph. It's Mike. It's Sith Council, everybody. Let's do it. You ready? I'm ready.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Welcome back, everybody. Sith Council. Myself, Darth Sabra.
Hello.
Kalinowski's back. Off center. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Is that better?
Much.
You're so avant-garde.
I was trying to get next to Steph here.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
That
Can you turn me up a little bit here?
That you watched the Bad Batch episode and Steph didn't.
You make it sound like I'm a bad student.
You
Shut
are.
your mouth.
No,
But
he's
you-
making
One
me
time I didn't watch it.
But now look up.
I had to catch up. I had to make up because I wasn't here last week.
Yeah.
I had to catch up.
You got ketchup on a burger or on
I always have
fries?
ketchup on a burger.
Good for you. I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
of course.
Of course.
Well, Steph, I got to see at Kate Mulligan's birthday party.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was
We had a
fun.
good time.
I thought that was a
Invited.
great birthday.
We tried to get Steph to do karaoke. She wouldn't do it.
Okay, can I talk to you guys? I'm talking to
Oh.
you at home. So karaoke is for people like me who can't sing, right? So I'm there. Everyone's trying to egg me on. By everyone, I mean Kristian, to sing. Then, little do I know, Brett's wife, who is as hot as we've all discussed. I didn't know, but it's confirmed now. Kate, everyone goes up. Everyone can sing. Everyone can sing, you guys. I'm telling you, there's a hoax, and I'm wondering, is this a thing? Like, people can sing, and I'm the outlier?
No, I think you probably can sing. You just didn't realize. Oh, that microphone, I think, made people sound better than they really were, though, too.
No, Kristian, you can sing. Brett can actually
Now,
sing.
did you guys have songs that you know your karaoke go-tos?
No, you know what's funny is I was driving there, and Tom Petty's and I got beef with the what's her face?
I don't know.
Who's the freaking not? Oh my God, I can't. Darina.
You got beef with Dorita? He's like, I got
the
beef
Dark
with her.
Lord.
No, because I said Mary Jane's Last Dance is what I want to see. She goes, actually, it's Last Chance, Mary Jane. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the name. That's how you sing it, but it's pretty sure it's called Mary Jane's Last Dance, and it's exactly what it's called. But anyway, so I was driving to. It took me about an hour to get there.
Okay.
And
That's
on
nuts.
my phone, it pops up, and that song starts sounding. I'm like, let me try that tonight. And so I did. That was my first one. I did Mary Jane's Last Dance.
You're driving through the valley, singing in your car.
Yeah, it was
I didn't know it was a
Hyped up,
karaoke
sure.
thing.
that song. Oh, you knew the party.
Yeah, and then I reread the invite.
And then you saw that it said that.
I would've
and then,
practiced.
Yeah, did Werewolf of London.
I don't know that song either.
You're crazy.
You
don't
do know
that
the song.
You
I
ever
don't
seen
know the
You ever seen
song.
Color of Money?
Yeah.
And his hair
Tom
was
Cruise?
perfect. Come on.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Sing a little.
Not right now.
Okay.
And then Brett and I decided at the middle out of nowhere we sang what's it called down by the schoolyard, the me and Julio down by the school. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie.
That you sung that song? Because I'm like, I don't know. Down by the
No,
schoolyard.
it was If You Be My Bodyguard.
Now that I know.
That's the one we sang.
Oh, yeah, they
and that
killed
one,
it. It was
that,
so
I don't know
adorable.
how we did that, but we did.
Isn't
it.
that
Really
Simon
nice.
and Garfunkel?
It's Paul Simon, but not
Simon.
Garfunkel. But let me ask you this, because
what's that?
you're a kid of the '80s.
Yeah.
What comedian appeared in that video? Only Ken Knapsack got this correct.
Well, wait a
Ellis didn't
second.
get it
I think I do remember this.
Inside of that video, which comedian is side by side the whole entire time? I'll give you. So
My go-to was I had my go-to, but
you can go to guess, and then I can give you the four choices now.
well, now two choices are in my head because I remember around the time. I'm leaning now to my second choice.
So do you want to hear?
Give me
the four choices?
give me your choices, and
All
I'll
right,
tell
the
you
four
what I thought.
choices are they? And do you know this either?
No.
All right, so the four choices is Paul Simon singing the song. Who's the comedian?
Because he comes in, he starts like doing bongos with
Right.
them.
So is it Robin Williams? Right. Is it Bill Murray? Is it Steve Martin? Or is it Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase?
What did you say?
Bill Murray.
Chevy Chase is correct. Yeah.
My first choice was John Candy,
Chevy
but then I'm like,
Chase.
I can't
Apparently
because
a
he
great
comes
guy.
in, and he like just like puts on like props, and he just starts
Yeah.
like.
It's a great video. Anyway, all
right, there we go.
But they're all in Star Wars. Every one of those people. That's not true at all. Welcome back.
Every
to
one of
these
them.
Big
This is a
things.
show of
This
lies.
Yeah. Let's start with. We're gonna start with Bad Batch
Let's do
because
it.
we got a lot to talk about with Mandalorian. So let's start with Bad Batch.
Yes, sir.
This is a great episode of Bad Batch.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
What'd you like about it?
Okay, let me go back a second. This is a couple weeks ago. We were talking about, I think it was the Omega episode, and it was where they were mining this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like this. But then I watched Alex and Molly Damon's Star Wars Explained. They went into a little bit of something on that, and they really made a good point. Like, this show shows the grief from an orphan's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's something that I didn't even think about.
Right.
Because I'm an old man, and I'm like, I just want to see cool action stuff in my cartoons.
And no lightsaber.
No
Yeah,
lightsabers.
and it's like I was like, oh, so it opened up a whole different way of looking at the stuff with Omega. But that said, this episode, that's right up my alley.
It was
If
really
the entire
good.
show is all this.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
I loved it, and I think that
it's
it's a good move for him also, for Crosshair, and
Yeah.
what he does and what he's got to do, and the idea that he's still got that bit of humanity left.
Okay, so now remember last year we talked, season 1. We said, does he turn? What happened? Like, what's his end fate? Mm-hmm. Now I'm leaning more and more towards that he does turn.
Well, you mean good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he
goes back
I
with,
mean,
with the
I
gang.
Think, I think
we thought he was going to die.
Yeah, I think he kind of is,
And
at
saves
the-
them dying,
They
but
all
doesn't
die,
but
though,
doesn't
right?
redeem himself. Doesn't come back. He just makes one final thing. But I think now he's gonna
I think so. Too.
side up with him.
I think so too, and I think
Yeah.
But I also think this show's going to go on for a while. I don't think
That's true.
Yeah, I think it's going to go on for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I just think the show could have been really more my speed if it had been tighter. Like, if it was 2 seasons, 8 episodes each with
Yeah.
like all the meat,
Yeah.
I'd be like, hell yeah, I like this storyline.
Yeah.
I still do like it, but it's more like fun. And today there's so much on TV
Yeah.
and movies
right,
that
you're
it's
right.
hard to be like,
To get
okay,
excited
I'm committed
for
for,
it. Yeah.
16 weeks.
I will say the show has gotten significantly better over the last couple episodes. Like last
Yeah.
week's episode was really good. This week's episode was really good. And I agree with what you're saying is that I wish some of the side missions was just cut it out or put it in like a small portion of the other ones, because what they're really focusing in on, the story itself, is fantastic.
Yeah,
This
the
season.
clones and all the
It's working.
being obsolete.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
great.
working, and it also shows their bond of what they have to do. And they this was the most emotional, especially what at the very end, the way that they're kind of treated like trash.
The two things hit me. One is like, oh man, this is what we're guarding armor for the stormtroopers, and not even for us. And and you see the helmet and this kind of snow,
Yeah.
and then that one scene with him was it Mayday, and he's sitting there basically dying in his arms.
Yeah,
It's like that's great. That's great. Great.
it was awesome. And the fact,
Storytelling.
and like he doesn't really want to be there. And he doesn't like being talked to by this guy, but he's still there following his orders. And the other guys are like, yeah, listen, man, we're doing our thing over here, and you just see they're so disregarded now, and it makes you feel for them in general. And I thought this was absolutely a great job by D. Bradley Baker, all the way around. It always does.
That's what I'm glad you brought that up, because
Yeah.
I was thinking it's like, oh, he's doing all these guys. Like, he does probably every clone he shows up. He does, but they're vastly different.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's really good. So, I mean, I would say that this season, even though last week you and I talked about, we asked the audience if we should still even cover it. And a lot of the audience said, yeah, you should, for sure, if you're enjoying watching it. And I said to myself, I am enjoying watching it. I am like, it is one of those things where, like, I'm not going to go in as in depth as we will in Mandalorian, obviously, but like, I think that this season to me is better than last. I think that season 2 is better than season 1.
Yeah, and again, this wasn't like we talked about, like the Adventure of the Week missions when he was with Omega doing random tasks.
They're getting away from that.
But this was also kind of just, it didn't really advance the plot much.
Oh, I don't know. It might.
In the grand scheme of it, for just a standalone episode, I just enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did.
I do think it's going to advance the plot significantly because of where
I guess with Crosshair's character. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
How that's going to blend. But anyway, so what did you guys think? Did you like the episode? Did you not like it? Are you watching it? Are you done with it? Because like Steph, like Mandalorian, it's also one of those crazy questions of they have 2 Star Wars things on at the same time, which doesn't usually happen.
That was weird. That's
so
weird.
Are you guys watching both? I mean, some people are ecstatic to have both, Bad Batch and Mandalorian at the same time, but let's call it what it is. Mando's the only game in town for as far as what the hardcore and what everybody's watching right now, and that's Mando, and it starts off on Tatooine. So first of all, Mike, what'd you think of last week? Did you like it?
I didn't want to talk about it now.
You want to talk about it on the Star Wars show? That makes sense.
Yeah, no, because I'll get crap for it. I'll get crap because I already got crap for it. I thought it was fine.
A lot of people thought that.
It's interesting because I love to look at. I don't look at Twitter the night when I watch. I watch it at midnight. I don't look at Twitter until the next morning.
You're screaming at the clouds.
I watch it go to Twitter the next morning because I love to see the whatever, because there's the hyperbole of it's the greatest Star Wars at its peak.
Right.
Back in true form, kind of doing a dig at Andor. And I watched it, and I'm like, weird. Okay, my point was this. I'm going to give you 2 points real quick.
I think I'm going to agree with one of these points.
I thought nothing we saw in that episode we had not seen before in season 1 or 2.
That was the point.
We saw what? That was the point?
That was one of the points, is to catch people up who haven't seen Boba Fett.
No. He's talking about season 1 and season 2. It's the same type of repetitive beats.
It was just like, okay, we've got a group of people fighting a big beast.
Yeah.
We've got Bo and Din talking about Mandalorian. We've got Grogu and a cute little thing, have some cute interaction. We got
similar beats from the past.
It was just like beat for Mando fighting pirates somewhere. It was just like a cool space battle. Everything we had seen, we saw in 1 and 2. Now here's my big
1 and 2.
Season 1 and season 2.
Oh, okay.
Combined.
I thought you meant
so here's my thought.
Sure.
What I thought would have happened. I think the mistake was, we should have never seen Grogu in Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Din, sure, let him do adventures on his own. I think the Mando Grogu reunion of Boba Fett should have been episode 1 of Mando season 3.
Yeah, maybe so. But
then the season next when they go to Grief Karga, and then 3 is what we got now.
Sure.
It would have made Boba Fett better, and it would have been like, oh, it's Mando 2.5.
Maybe.
And then the whole back, because I missed that talk about that, the backtracking of it's been 2 years since he's been training with Luke, and it's like, okay, no, this ain't flying.
Well, here's another fix that I think, because what you could have done, I talked about this on the spoiler review today, is I think it was a massive mistake to not do one of 2 things. Either release episode 1 and 2 at the same time, is what they should have definitely done, or combine 1 and 2 into a hour and 15-minute episode like they did for Last of Us when you started Last of Us, 20 minutes. Because if you put episode 2 with episode 1, that's a freaking good episode.
Yeah.
Like I liked 1 a lot because the thing is, though, Brett and I saw it in the theater. We saw 1 and then we saw 2 right afterwards.
In the theater, though. So they showed you 2 of them together.
They showed 1 and 2. So I watched them 1 and 2 back to back. So I was like, okay, because I think that if I would have just left that night after seeing that first one, I would have been like, okay, well, what happens next? Right? But the fact that I had seen 2, it elevated 1 for me. And this week, again, watching 2 elevated 1 for me.
With Mando, I was going to say this. There's not going to be a bad episode. There won't be. They're just too good at what they do. And the characters are too good. We enjoy them. So seeing it was fine. It was great. Oh, great. He's back. We're back.
Well, what do you think of 2?
Come on.
Yeah, right.
Come on now.
And
That's
Steph,
what
Steph, you've been waiting.
fantastic.
You didn't get a chance to see it last week. You saw it this week. You lost your mind, right?
Oh my
You've watched it
gosh.
3 times already?
Yeah, I
Amazing.
watched
You've
it.
seen
So
1 and
that's
2.
why I didn't watch Bad
Yeah.
Batch, y'all. It's not because I'm not committed to the game. I'm so committed. I watched Mando 3 times.
So talk us through. I'm going to play some of these pictures and you talk us through it.
Okay, yeah. So I like starting here because we're kind of seeing it's bringing back Boba Fett, and we're also probably going to get Cobb Vanth. I'm assuming. I think.
I hope
that's
so.
I
a
think
good
we're out of
setup.
Tatooine. I think this is the last time maybe we pop by one more time, but I think we're pretty much out of it. I hope anyway.
Yeah.
But please, go ahead.
So I first was like, okay, why did we fight so hard to come back here so that we can restructure the droid memory for her to be like, oh no, all we have is this R5 unit?
Right.
But I think we'll figure that out later in the game. I trust in them. But I think that the R5 callback is a great Easter egg to The New Hope. Mm-hmm. And seeing that. And I saw this cool article that was talking about how there is a non-canon comic on R5 who
Okay.
apparently was a Force-sensitive droid.
Oh, my God.
Who knew that R2-D2 should go with them. So he...
Blew himself
Yeah.
up.
Oh God. It was
pretty dumb.
fanfic.
But okay, I like this. I don't mind Amy Sedaris' character.
Yeah.
I think you guys have learned
No,
to like her.
yeah,
Did she lose a tooth?
Maybe.
I think so.
I think she
think
didn't have a tooth.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think she-
I
like, what happened to the tooth?
I
Is
don't
she
think she had.
falling
I don't think
apart?
she had it in Boba Fett either.
You don't.
I
I
don't
couldn't remember, but I ride for her. I
was
think
like,
she's a funny
She's
character.
gotten.
Rotting away in Tatooine.
I think we both kind of when she first showed up, it was a little jarring because I was like, it's clearly just Amy Sedaris in a Star Wars outfit, but
With
now
the wig.
now I
The
believe
dumb wig.
Now I believe that she's there. Now I believe that she's in this, and it's kind of like you're expecting it, like when he shows up at these places. But I agree with you on the R4 part of it all. Is that this is why the IG-11. This is also.
I agreed with you
yeah.
more last week because you were like that part was a little overdone, and then I was like, if they don't do anything with IG-11, then what? That's like 10 minutes of showtime that
Yeah.
we're wasting to this.
They're going to do something.
They're
with it,
going to have,
especially
okay.
now with this Taika news.
Right.
Of course, they're going.
Yeah,
to.
okay, but so with IG-11, but so the memory thing is fried. But if he gets a new memory thing, it's not IG-11 anymore.
I
But
want it
he's
to be
not
like
a
Vision.
dual-
I want it to be like
yeah.
Vision. That's what I hope happens. Like they
That's
take.
But I don't know what they're because like someone made a point. It's like if you're the memory's gone, so you're getting a new memory core. So when you put it in, it's not going to have any memories of your guys' interaction, him saving Grogu.
No,
It's
but he'll
different
be
robot.
a nurse droid still.
But he's an assassin, isn't he?
No, that's why they're trying.
That's why they're trying to reboot it.
So he's a nurse droid, not an assassin.
That's why I think it's
Well,
too.
why don't you just go get a nurse droid?
It's so silly that they're bringing IG-11 back. I think it's the
Because
worst
Taika wants to
decision
come
so
back.
far. Because of all the deal that they have with him and that he was a popular character. It's so silly to bring him back. He blew himself up in a great episode of the sacrifice of
Yes!
it all, and they built this. It's like there's a million different droids out there. I saw somebody trying to make. Well, the reason why is because Din didn't trust a lot of droids, but now he trusted. Yeah, well, why is it? But he trusts R4 pretty fast. He brings garbage
Yeah.
droid with him, and
Right.
so I think it's that choice itself. Is
you
not
say-
the
but
best.
you
See
say
what they
about
do with it.
But he trusts him. That's what this guy's saying. He's like, but if you get a new memory thing, it's not gonna be the
Could be
memory
someone
to
else.
trust.
Yeah, but
How
either,
can you trust
but
it?
either way though, he does trust again with droids, and he goes Steph, and
Yes.
he now he finds R4, and R4. I love the kind of the difference between him and R2. R2 is like, yeah, let's fight. Who do we got? What's the mission? Let's do it. This guy's like, nah, I don't want to go.
Yeah, he's
I'm
just like-
good. Yeah, he's just kind of hiding in the background.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
true.
I feel that.
It's like
I really
anytime we
feel
said
it.
you had to play Smets.
The lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch over here. Jesus.
I gotta send that to Smets. He's
No,
gonna
you
love it.
don't. He's up in his penthouse in the sky. He's living the life
true.
of the Jeffersons over there.
Yeah, that is a nice
What a
view.
dated reference that I loved.
You got it,
well,
though, didn't you?
Well done.
You got it.
I'll show you we did a live stream here that was playing in the background.
What,
Laverne
Sanford
and
and Son?
Shirley.
Hey, I know that. Lenny and Squiggy.
Yeah.
It's you and me.
That's right.
That's you and Brett.
Listen to me. So we got to continue moving on, and I like the idea that he just goes there because what I was worried about was
What's that?
he shows up here and we're gonna get another episode of Tatooine,
Yes.
and it's like it has nothing to do with Tatooine, but we have spent so much time in Tatooine in both Mandalorian and Boba Fett. We're like, not another Tatooine mission, and then they go, nope, we're just there to pick up this stink
Yeah.
droid, and then
Stink droid.
and then out we go, celebration, hooray.
Can you guys explain to me though something? Because I'm missing this.
For
Where are
sure.
they putting Grogu's pod in that thing? Where the hell's that thing fit?
It's a little thing.
There's
on the side.
undercarriage. The pod for me
It
has
doesn't
like
fit, though.
really set me off.
Where's he
Yeah.
take a dump? Where's he sleep?
Ask him. He's coming on next week.
wait,
Actually, you know who's coming on next week? It was supposed to come on today, but the studio's still in shambles. Is Brendan Wayne.
Who?
Brendan Wayne.
Ooh, for you.
Brendan
Well,
Wayne.
I'm
Din
proud-
has
I'm
to
real proud of you.
shower. Oh, that's
What?
awesome.
Yeah.
Din
But
has
Din-
to shower and poop too. Like,
Yeah, so where's Din gonna shower and poop?
I don't know.
Next to him.
I miss the Razor Crest.
Yeah, you don't like this ship, but the thing is,
It's
the
cool.
Razor Crest takes too long to get there. This thing gets there in,
I
in
get that.
half a day.
I get that.
And now he's a father. He's not a bounty hunter.
So we have a more sensible vehicle.
it's sensible.
No, it's not. There's
Yeah.
no place for him.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
listen. So the celebration is happening on this planet. Grogu loves the fireworks.
That was
you
a
know,
cool shot.
You know what I like about Grogu also is the fact that you definitely have these cute moments like him where he's still a kid and he's looking out at the celebration and all that, but he's evolving as a character. He's
100%.
doing more. Like even in that scene with Tatooine when he jumps into Amy Sedaris' arms and she's like, "Whoa!" He's kind of growing up, and it's like that you need to do that because you can't have the same series of the whole time. It's like, "Uh-oh, baby girl's in trouble and now Din needs to save him." He's like, "No, he can. He's been training with Luke for a little bit. He can
2 years.
Yeah,
apparently.
he can
Yeah.
do his thing."
I liked how last episode Din was like, Mandalorians need to be great navigators, and he was
Yeah.
showing him Bo-Katan's place, which is a great callback for this episode. 'Cause
Yeah.
we saw it, why he would know that. We're not just like expecting Grogu to have this knowledge. He's learning. He's actually
learning
catching
it.
up.
Yeah, and he's smart and he can figure out how to do it and he's paying attention to it all, and that's what as they show up. And I mentioned this again in the spoiler review this morning. Someone tweeted me out this morning like, "What exactly blew you away about this episode?" And I said, "I don't know, all of it."
Yeah, it was freaking
There was
awesome.
so much of it. Like first of all, how about the fact that we get to see Mandalore in live action,
Right.
Like, which is incredible. I mean, I know we showed the little scenes.
I like the design of it. I love
Me
that.
too.
Was it I forgot what the way they talked about the crystallized,
The emerald
Yeah.
crystals.
but like the whole planet was made of that stuff.
Did you get
It was
Empire
badass.
vibes here, Mike? When like Empire Strikes Back, like
Where?
right, not this part right here. When
Oh, when he's going to
the
Dagobah. a little
droids,
bit. Yeah, but it was just,
yeah.
it's just nice to see a different planet. It was
Yeah,
really,
it was
really
great.
cool.
It was great to see Mandalore again because we haven't, and for Clone Wars and Rebels fans, we haven't seen it like this.
Yeah.
We had seen it in all its glory. And so
Right.
when Bo's talking about it, we get what she's talking about. And then this is, a very different version of it. Even though it's sunny out and it's clear, it's still barren.
Honestly, to me, when I saw that, it gave me vibes of Krypton.
Yeah,
after
for sure.
it
Good
was
call.
but it being irradiated, where like it's a wasteland. And
Yeah.
granted, it's flying chunks and
I know, but it had Krypton survived a little bit more.
it
100%.
felt
Good
like
call.
that. And I don't know if that was unintentional because a lot of times when people are designing stuff, they want to bring references from different things to give a perspective that you can kind of latch into.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of this episode had different callbacks to
Yeah, it's really
sci-fi
kinda
and
cool.
horror franchises.
Yeah, it did. So all right, as we moved on to a little bit more here, and he shows up and what this is going to do, by the way, I think anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but it sets up the whole point is Din is going there to try to bathe his balls in the water,
Yeah, he's
right?
baptizing.
And he's going there the whole
Baptizing
time,
his balls.
but he's going there and. He's got to send Trash Pot out first for a second
Right.
to go
wasn't taking a drink.
These droids deserve
Piss
more
pot,
from
trash
Piss
pot.
Pot and Trash Pot, but Trash Pot's got to go out and he's got to go do his thing. And he's like, okay, go out and find out what's happening. And he's like, okay, good. I hope no, big Land of the Lost kind of monkey creatures try to rub their
They were.
sacks on my head. Yeah,
That's what it was.
Land of the Lost. Yeah,
I was like, why do these look so
They do.
familiar?
But
that's right.
But Grogu is
I can't.
he's staying in the middle. He's
can't,
in the navigation system, all that. But what it sets up, because once Din's like, all right, let me go see if I can breathe out in this place. Got to go find Trash Bot, and he does. And this shot they showed like 5 different times, and I love that.
'Cause it's a great
I was
shot.
gonna say I loved it every time they showed it. Loved it every time they showed it. But he's on his way in there, and this is when the Land of the Lost peeps come in.
Yeah.
But this shot though, this was the one that did it for me.
Okay, so now what am I looking at here? I know it's the Civic Center, but have you seen this in its glory?
Yeah, we
Okay.
saw it like
in Rebels
yeah,
or
in Clone Wars. So I would suggest you going back and watching some
I'm
of those
so
episodes.
backed up on these damn things.
But I'm just saying,
Go
go
to
back.
what I've said.
Like
on,
you said.
it says essential
let him finish talking.
episode.
Did you watch episode Bad Batch, the newest one?
Oh my
You did it because you
God.
got backed up with lots of stuff.
But listen, you see it in all its glory, and it's also one of the reasons I loved hearing Bo talk about her past, because she's talking about how she's a royal. I think that's why I want to see what you think when you watch it, because now that you have you heard the history first
Right.
from her, as where we got to watch the history first.
And now, so Filoni, he created Mandalore and all of the.
He didn't create Mandalore.
But the
Elaborated on it.
elaborated with
Yeah.
the legacy and the all the different
Him and
factions
George.
and what happened.
Him
the
and
two of
George.
them.
George
Did it hand in hand with it at the time.
George was very much involved in Clone Wars.
But the Clone Wars was what it was like. This is where it's coming from.
Yeah, it started like the Night
Yeah,
Watch.
it's like the
Death Watch or Night
one,
Watch?
Death
Watch. I always call it Night
It's
Watch.
one of the
I thought
most
the Night-
important plot points.
Then what's
If
something
not,
of the Owls? Who's the Owls?
Night Watch isn't. I don't know. I always
I
forget.
don't know.
It's Death Watch, Night Watch.
Yeah.
People are gonna correct us.
I know.
Yeah, please correct me.
Yeah. But either.
Anyway.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Steph.
the shots that they used a few times because they had Bo and Din doing the same move going down,
Yep.
and I was like, hell yeah! Like it wasn't repetitive. It was like cool to watch them both be Mandalorians.
Yes.
And that line that we got in the trailer, oh, you thought your dad was the only Mandalorian?
And by the way, did you guys notice that? I'm glad you brought that up because
Oh, yeah.
they only showed. If you go, have you guys watched the first trailer since these have come out? I went back and watched the first
I
trailer.
think I watched it right before episode 1.
So
this season came
go
out.
back and watch it now. 90%, if not 95% of it, which I love, is from episode 1 and episode 2.
I think
Oh,
the only thing we
cool.
haven't seen
That's great.
Yeah.
is the Mandalorians
Jumping
dropping
out
out
of
of
the
that
thing.
ship. That's
Yep.
the only
That's-
thing I don't, because today
Yep.
was that episode of the ship kind of flying over Mandalore. The great line that she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it was, it's all
it's
from
like
episode 1
I'm
and
telling you,
2.
it's like
That's great.
95% of it, and like, you're absolutely right. It was like the only parts. There were a couple parts were like more of the Mandalorians, and I
Yeah.
thought maybe because I remember seeing all the Mandalorians, it's like, oh, maybe that was from the opening episode 1, and it wasn't. It's
Yeah.
from something
Just
different.
that drop ship thing.
Yeah, but they don't give a lot away, and I think it's great. What I also hope that they do is this episode was 45 minutes long. Please stay with that.
It was
This
so
32-minute
great. It's a good
bull
piece. It's
crap.
They
pace, yeah.
accomplished a lot. Yeah,
Yes.
I thought, and also speaking about the trailers, I thought Bo and Din were going to be head to head, hating each other the entire season. I love the fact that it looks like they're partnering up.
Yeah, because I think that as we go through it, and then we can get back into this as he discovers Mandalorian. Now remember, this is the first time the two of them, both him and Bo, are looking at this view very differently.
Yes.
This is the first thing he's ever seen of Mandalore. So
because he lived on the moon next to it.
Yeah. So his imagination is going what it possibly could have looked like, but he's got no reference except this is what it looks like now, and I can use my imagination to see it. And then you got Chuckles coming and jumping down here ready to scrap. And if you think about it, they're kind of in the right here because this is their home now.
Right.
And
they're
you got
hungry.
some jerk off come hanging out, but he takes out the saber, and I love this. He still cannot figure out how to use this thing.
Yeah.
And he's still able to swing it around, and he chops up a few of them, but he's exhausted
but
doing
it's
it.
heavy and it's
With-
not
Yeah.
working right.
With the dark saber, because he makes it seem like, oh, this is just heavy.
Yeah.
But Bo's flipping that thing around like.
Do you remember
Like
from
it's a
Boba
Ginsu
Fett though?
knife.
Do you remember Boba Fett what the armor says? Remember the armor's
Yeah,
training him,
right,
And
the training on
there's-
the thing.
There's you have to like
Is it
kind
a
of go.
fluidity to it? Like
It's
you
a
got to kind
fluidity.
of feel it?
Yeah, you have to kind of feel it. You have to know because Bo, and this is what I had mentioned earlier today, was that Bo has been training with this thing for years. Bo has known it from her history, and then once Sabine gave it to her in Rebels, she's had time with it, so she knows how to use it, and she knows how to almost make it like an extension of herself.
Okay.
As where Din has not figured that out, which totally makes sense.
It's like a caveman with that thing.
This is years and years and years of having it for her
Right.
and knowing it, and,
and
it makes
she
sense.
said you have to find peace with yourself.
That's
too.
right.
Oh, he's not
So-
a piece of himself.
No.
Yeah, Bo knows who she is. She feels good with like her place with the Creed and
Yeah.
Mandalore. He's like, oh, I need to go in the waters again. He
Bathe my
doesn't feel
balls.
sure of himself.
Bathe his
Exactly.
balls. Yeah. And so this is so as we continue,
Which is like that's why I love this episode. Is like a full on hero's journey.
it really
right?
is for both of them.
Yeah.
For both of them.
Yeah.
And Grogu too.
Yeah.
And then as you are moving through, and he takes these things out, he gets Trashbot to go with them, and then they show up to and they get Grogu. Okay, look, this to me is a crucial scene that I think will be talked about forever. For this season anyway, I should say forever. This when he says this is what I think the show is all about. He says Mandalore is livable. You can breathe on it. It's not toxic. It's not in peril. So I'm going to go bathe and then we'll figure it out. I think that's the whole storyline. Is now that we know that Bo comes in and Bo helps him out. Bo saves him from the water. He bathes. All those shots that we're seeing of the Mandalorians and everything too. I think that because Bo's going to be teaming up with him. I think her section of people who left, but she remember what she said to him. She was like, "You have that Darksaber, they'll follow you. They're coming back."
Right.
I think that the zealots are going to follow Din, because now he's going to be a Mandalorian again. They're coming back. They're going to reestablish Mandalore. He's going to
ride the mythosaur.
They're going to bring or him or Grogu.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring them to Mandalore, and they're going to reestablish Mandalore, because if they what you could do with this show now.
But what's the conflict then?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Where's the conflict coming from?
Tons of conflict if you do it. First of all, as they're setting up whether the remnants of the Empire are going to and Gideon can show up and have another war, and they finally get their revenge on them, and the Mandalorians can get their revenge on Gideon for destroying their world. That's probably something that could happen for sure. But what you could, because Favreau just had a conversation recently where he said, this is not, we don't even have an end game yet for where this is going. Imagine if you started, I know everybody uses this reference with Game of Thrones now too, right? But if you start to establish a Mandalorian planet, well, yeah, everybody's hunky-dory and establishing and settling now as they start to reestablish the planet. But as the seasons go on, if there starts to be conflict within again, and, you know, or because remember what she says, Bo says in this episode, is that the thing I want to get past is all of us fighting within each other. And so what if the irony in that is it takes them all to come back together, fight, together to reestablish Mandalore, and then seasons upcoming, those start to crack. Or who knows? Or maybe it sets up something for down the line in the Lindelof era and all these different eras where this is a new established thing. I don't know. What do you think, Steph?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that because I don't know where the seasons will lead off, but I think the main conflict right now would be with Moff and his destruction of the planet. But I do think it will be centrally focused on bringing them back together. But there's got to be some conflict between the armor and the zealots and Bo's people because
they got to see eye to eye.
Yeah, they don't see eye to eye. So there will be some conflict there, I think, before.
I hope. I mean, because I don't want it to turn into the biggest criticism that we have with Bad Batch, right? And that's the side mission episodes.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be side mission episodes because they're establishing Mandalore again.
Yeah.
I mean, that place is in ruins, but if they could get everybody back to reestablish that planet again, because like I said, this scene right here, this shows that you can live there. You can live there again. It's not toxic. You're able to live there again. So should they reestablish it? Because remember, the armor didn't think that it was. The armor was like, no, it's not. It doesn't look like it's. Yeah. You're going to be in trouble if you go back there because it's not inhabitable. It is. And one of the reasons they have all those green crystals, and I think they're in pretty good shape. And I think one of the reasons why is because they've been drinking a lot of Athletic Greens. That's right. AG1 Athletic Greens. Let me tell you about them. I love Athletic Greens so much. I love them. AG1 by Athletic Greens, man. They're so good. They're so good. And this is the other one. This is my wife this morning takes all these vitamins, and I go, how do you do that? I can't take a whole bunch of vitamins. I like doing it all in one shot. That's what I do with Athletic Greens. I love it. I take it all the time. Every day. You guys know that. I mean, how long I've been talking about Athletic Greens now? Athletic Greens, it's better gut health. It's increased energy. It's, for me, it's the sleep quality. That's what I've been doing. The sleep quality is the best. You can do it right. You can, whether you're working out or before you're making your coffee, whatever you're doing, you feel ready to go. And it's like, it's the health kick. It really is. Between my diet that I have, which I'll tell you about later, and then and Athletic Greens, I've been doing good. I've been having good energy. People have been noticing that. I like that. It helped me with my energy. And why do you want to take a whole bunch of different things? You just take this and that's it. You put it in. I take it in a bottle of water and I shake it up, and I love it. And AG1 was designed with ease in mind, so you can live healthier and better with having to do a lot. People love it. Katee Sackhoff is, like I said, she's coming in on Monday. And I talked about Athletic Greens on the show, and she loves Athletic Greens. And I'm going to leave that in the show when she says it, of course. It's delivered to me every month. Very easy to make it a daily habit. So if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens, it gives you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to athleticgreens.com/bigthing. athleticgreens.com/bigthing. All right, once again, thank you to our friends over at Athletic Greens. AG1, really been using them a lot. And as I mentioned, Katee Sackhoff was on the show last week, and the interview is doing really well. If you want to win an autographed Bo-Katan helmet signed by Katee herself, and we're going to announce it when Katee comes back on the show for the spoiler full episode. She's going to read the winner. You got to go over there and check out the interview. But in that interview, Katee talked about how much she loves athletic greens as well. Get it. It helps out you. It helps out us. It really helps the show. So go ahead and get yourself. Use that code, athleticgreens.com/big thing. Jumping back in as we get past this scene there.
Yes,
and
here we go.
They are really, trying to now move through this massive city. You got kind of Force Awakens vibes with the, when she was in the big, was it Star Destroyer or whatever she was in? Remember in the first Force Awakens? Episode 7,
Yeah.
Got kind of like that kind of feel.
No, I don't know.
No? All right. Well, then go
Were they
with-
living inside a mountain? Is that what this is? Or was it?
No, it's just an established city, man.
I know that, but why is it? Why did he go down the crack into the ground to go down there?
I don't know what to tell you. It was a
was
big...
his-
It's
what did it-
destroyed.
It's destroyed.
Okay, it's destroyed, but is it
No more elevators.
But is it
Yeah.
in a mountain?
I'm not sure. You know what
Is
I
it
want
under
to
the
do?
ground? Is it a hidden?
No,
Maybe.
no.
It's good questions, but you know
I'm
what?
just asking I'm asking geography here.
All right,
No,
well,
totally. I don't know. We always saw like in the castles and like
Yeah.
in the like.
So never showed you outside shots.
I don't think so. I, mean,
establishing
I
shots?
do
Only
want to
the
go.
war.
I want to go back and watch
Okay.
and check it out. Maybe there is, but this is the one. I'm definitely gonna be watching like Alex Damon's video here because I want to know if this is just some random helmet or if this is actually, a helmet from somebody.
Character, yeah.
like a character. Like
well, I
who's
thought it was gonna be when the trailer came out. There was speculation that it was Visla's or the one who wielded the darksaber
Right.
and joined forces with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Jedi.
yeah.
But then I think that it might have just been a throw off in the trailer, and it was just a bait from the
from that
creature.
thing, and
Yeah.
I think that's probably what it was, because they set you up to maybe even us think that, like, well, who the hell is that? What is that? And then the next thing you know, he's getting. It had this moment here had a not only Return of the Jedi feel to me, but it had a feeling of the Ewok movies, the Escape from Endor, and all that. Like when the family gets captured, and
Yeah.
because this thing was creepy. It was really creepy.
Really creepy.
Yeah.
Also, can I say two things?
Yeah.
One, did you guys notice? And I watched this on my TV, but I have a big window behind me and
Yeah.
the blinds were open,
Yeah.
so it was a little bit like, what am I looking at? But then I went online, and a lot of people were complaining about how dark this episode was.
It was dark. I mean, yeah, it was
So-
dark. I mean, like some of the shots that I pulled here was
Yeah,
dark.
even when we're looking here, I'm like,
But-
but that said, my other thing,
You're in a cave though.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem.
This creature design,
Great, wasn't it?
one of the best creature designs
Yeah.
I've seen in Star
Yeah, it
Wars.
was
Like
cool.
because we get so used to like, just let your imagination run wild, and we see a big bloated kidney stone,
Mm-hmm.
floating by in Tatooine or something. But this, I don't know if it was because of how creepy it was or how inventive it was. One of the best creatures I've seen in Star
I
Wars.
agree.
I love this.
It
thing.
was really
Yeah,
cool.
it's just
You know,
great.
It was
Just
very
great.
horror-esque.
It was.
Like him draining him and looking
Yeah,
like he drained a bunch
but then it's
of
like an eye. But
Mandalorians.
is it
and
like?
I loved it didn't say anything.
right?
It didn't say
I'm gonna drain you now, and there's nothing you can do, Mando. You
One-
came back for this, huh?
100%.
Yeah.
It was creepier because it didn't say anything.
Nothing,
If-
just that eye.
If it would have done something like "Hombadaya Kudaba Wambamba" or something like even whatever it was in an alien voice or something more like even like with a whisper, sure, whatever. It didn't need to.
Nah.
It didn't need anything. It just was creepy, draining his
Creepier.
blood, and like who knows how many Mandalorians it's done that to.
Yeah.
And it didn't say, "Oh, Solo." It's like
Yeah.
it was just it made it so much more
Your
terrifying.
arrow look good on my wall.
Can you imagine if that stupid thing would have just did like an alien voice or anything too? Oh, I hate that dumb thing.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, but I wonder if
was awesome.
It looks like he's dead, but he drained a lot of people. Was he just draining that to sustain his own life?
maybe.
Or
I mean, whatever it was, and I
Will
love
it
that
come
we
back?
and maybe we don't even know. I think he should be over. I think that it was
I
creepy enough.
agree,
Yeah, like
but
his-
it's like-
but like that's the type of monster design
I-
that pops in there, and you're like, okay, that was terrifying.
I'm curious because in this episode there have been so much. We've come up with three of them now: Krypton, the Land of the Lost, and now this thing because it teaches you. He's not talking, but that droid starts pumping, and we know when we see those pumps in hospitals, oh, you're pumping blood or something
Right,
into someone. So
yeah.
the language was there that it didn't need to explain.
Yeah.
He didn't need. It
It was so.
It
Whoever
was,
the production design and
Every-
that- I noticed this is the director I've never seen before on the show.
No, I knew
Brand new director.
I didn't know who she was.
she's
No.
fantastic.
She was great.
Yeah.
She did a great job. So and then Grogu hauls ass, which is
oh
again
my gosh,
establishing really
Nice.
again how he's more capable now, right? And
And Din's more trusting of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he says, "Go get Bo-Katan." And he's like, and then this stupid thing thinks he's got the one up on him. He's like, "All right, I got you now,
Right.
you little." And he's like, "Yeah, you beat it." And he just tosses him. And the thing just goes flying. And,
Icon.
And they showed this in the trailer, and it worked. It didn't ruin anything for me. And I just look at him. He just got his hand up, and he's just like, "All right, come on, trash bot, let's get out of here." So they do, and again, and I love that Bo says this too, because you can ask the question, well, how the hell did he find his way back? And it's like, well, because he's been listening to the navigation.
Yeah. And
she's like, well, you must have been, she tells him, she's like, I hung out with a lot of Jedi, and you must be using the Force because you found your way back to me pretty quick.
Yeah.
This is my favorite, by the way. So the droid comes in, and I said this too. Bo hasn't moved. There's no Netflix on in the background. There's no food. She's just been sitting there. God knows how long. She got a pillow and a blanket.
Seasonal depression.
She 100%. She's look. There's nothing around her, and she's been sitting in that chair for God knows how
She's
long.
got the seasonal D.
Yeah.
But then she pops up, and she's like, "All right, I'm about to whip your ass."
He's coming back here? I
Yeah.
told that motherfucker not to come back
Yeah.
here.
Well, and I love how nobody's gonna get mad at Grogu, so she comes flying back
Right.
in, and she's like, "Well, where is he?" And she goes, and this is where the episode just to me takes off, and why the show needs to be 45 minutes plus, because it allows you to establish, okay, Din got there, he had his mission, he got caught. Now let's give the episode a bow and let the other Mandalorian shine, because this is where Katee just annihilates.
Totally.
She does a great job here.
Yeah, like her weapons are so cool. Din needs to get one of those shields that she uses, because that is very useful.
I actually thought you'd say that about the episode. I thought it was going to stop right there, where she's like, "Where is he?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like, boom, boom.
It was so cool to watch her. Whoever is doing the stunts for her is sick. Like, I just thought it was so, like, because we see Din and you're like, how could you be more cool? How could he be cooler than Din? And it's like, she's so his equal in a lot of ways in the way she moves and handles things. And she took down the 3, I forget what they're called, but those 3 giant figures easier than Din. I know that without the Darksaber. I know he was trying to use the Darksaber and probably could have taken them down easier had he not been using that. But it was cool to be like, watch her have the same problems, but move a little better through them.
100%. And so she's able to, because she's more experienced.
Yeah.
Way more experienced, been around fighting these fights, and we see Bo's got her ship, she takes off. And she lands on Mandalore, and like it's a very different experience for her showing up here back to where she grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, this is her spot. So, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Why is it that the Mandalorians are under the belief that the area is toxic? Why wouldn't none of them go and do what Din's doing? They just were like, we've been told this forever. Like it is, we've seen it, we know what it is.
She has been saying that. Remember, she told me she's like, it's not toxic, because she says it's not cursed.
People are like, you're crazy.
Right, it is going to be. So let's go back. See, that was the whole kind of conversation in that first episode, because that's why she's so bummed that she's like she's just had, I guess she's had so many opportunities to try to lead them to the glory land a couple different times, even when Mandalore was intact. Yeah. And she's just failed. She's failed so many times that they've given up on her, and she doesn't have the Darksaber anymore. So that's why the seasonal depression, as you say, is because she's just bummed. But that's why I think that this is she's teaming up with Din, and they're both gonna lead them together. At least that's what it seems like, each section together.
Yeah, it's a really interesting contrast between the two, because he didn't grow up on this specific planet, and when she was like, "You haven't had pork soup," like
that was amazing.
This is what every Mandalorian has grown up on.
Was it actually pork soup?
I think so, right?
I don't know, but
maybe I just made that up. But some sort of soup that every Mandalorian has eaten, and it's like,
was it a pog soup?
Pog soup.
Pog soup. That's
pork
what it was.
soup.
You want them eating those little porgs?
Yeah. Great. I'm with her.
Sorry.
I'm with you.
Yeah, why not?
I'm with you.
Why not?
Yeah. I love a little side eye that she gives Grogu also.
Yeah, she's funny to Grogu. I like their relationship. But that he's the one who's so gung-ho about the true Mandalorian creed, and she's the one who's been actually raised in it her entire life.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's an interesting depiction of religion in general, or in like how distance can sometimes make you grow stronger in that, because you're further away from it, and you need to cling on to faith a little bit harder. And I think that they're both going to question each other throughout the episode, throughout the season. But the Mythosaur part was interesting, because she's like, "You're being weird. You also didn't believe me that this place was livable." And then she goes down and it's like, "Oh wait, this part of it is
It's
real.
true, right?
Yeah.
And then so we'll get, and we should get to that too, because there's a lot of people had questions of like how. I mean, talk about it now with Mando when he goes into the waters finally after because she was. Well, let's get this. She rescues him. She goes there and she's in the caves and she's again giving us. This is why we had mentioned this many times over with different shows, and why they didn't do this in Boba Fett and or Obi-Wan, and they do it here, and that is you have a little bit more time, and instead of the big action pieces, you're following on the characters and you're giving them more to learn, for us to learn about. So for those people who didn't watch Clone Wars and didn't watch Rebels, you probably learned a significant amount about Bo through this episode.
Sure, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
I was just seeing the screen grabs you're doing here, and again, I know they're on a soundstage. I know they're in the volume, but I can't tell.
This is a good use of it.
Like
this was a great use of it.
It's amazing how some of the shows are all together, but it's vastly different between the several shows that use that.
Yeah.
This feels like you're on this planet. It just, I don't know. I don't know if they've got their top tier guys work on this show and like the B crews.
I don't think so. This was a mixture of like the set itself and blending the set plus the volume and using it in a spectacular
and the underwater. I don't know how they did that.
It was great.
But it looked great. You don't question it for a second. You're like, what technique are they using for this to do this? Are they on a soundstage? Are they in a water tank? It just looks great.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really, really good. And I
Seamless.
think, and so as she's giving you more information about herself and you're learning more about, for people who didn't watch the shows, and if you did watch it, you're kind of getting rewarded a little bit more because you know exactly what the hell she's talking about. She's talking about her royal family. And then she's looking at this thing very different than Din was looking at it. She's looking at it like she's looking at it. She got memories about this place. Right. She's got this is it's the fall of Rome.
I know, but it is very weird to me when she talks about we ruled this land. We ruled this.
Yeah.
Like, were they benevolent rulers or were they?
It was a mixture, man.
With an iron fist.
It was a mixture.
Because I see this and I see a tyrant.
It was a mixture.
The way she talks, I'm like, you want to bring a tyrant back, and this ain't good.
So
this is coming from a guy that doesn't know this history.
She ran it different ways, and like there was a time when, like, remember Darth Maul ran this joint for a little while.
Like, he ran the joint?
Yeah, he ran.
I don't know a lot of this.
Darth Maul ran Mandalore. He was on the throne for
after he got his legs back.
Yes.
Right?
And Darth Maul, I mean, so like
when Palpatine was trying to get
and Mandalore was.
And this is all in Clone Wars.
Yes, and the Mandalorians were following him, and it was. I mean, I want to go back and watch all that stuff again too. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish at least this season, and then I'm going back and watching because I kind of been whenever I got some time throwing another episode. But now seeing this, I want to do the opposite of what you guys did. See all this from their perspective and go back to it and see it.
Yeah.
She originally was like all about war.
Yep.
And
she seems like a tyrant.
She was.
Her sister Satine was the one Obi-Wan was in love with. Yeah.
Right? Satine?
No,
that's
Sabine. So Satine was a pacifist. She didn't believe in war, and so they almost like their family had a lot of issues within each other because one
was
was
a pacifist.
Yeah.
She's this warmonger.
But by the time Satine died, Bo started becoming more peaceful.
Yeah.
So she's kind of in this mixture of, I think she would be a good ruler.
Yeah, and Bo and Sabine had a good relationship. Sabine actually gave her the dark saber.
Yeah.
And then and Ahsoka and Bo have a good relationship as well.
And that whole line about we used to work with the Jedi, we used to get along with them. So I'm like that was a really cool bit of history that I didn't know. Like,
well, remember they did that final scene of Clone Wars. They brought it back on Disney Plus, and the whole end is Bo Katan and Ahsoka and leading into the split and all that. Bo Katan's the one who finds Ahsoka after and brings her back into the fray. So, but yeah, so we get that whole shot of her just kind of looking down there and then this is just where to show you the Bo that we know from that time. She takes out some of those stupid things pretty easily, and she's throwing hands with those things. But then she gets to this creepy thing, and this is where you get a chance to see that pipe. And it was gnarly looking, like that tube, right? It's got all the gook on it and all that shit. And the darksaber's sitting there. She picks it up, and this is just. I mean, this was again such a fun geek out moment for Star Wars fans. It's such a fun geek out moment. Like she's wielding this thing and she takes it out fairly easy. I mean, she has a couple stumbles here and there, but takes it out. Thing tries to come back, but she wipes it out. And that shot alone, I mean, it's so good. It was so terrifying. And then, she could bail on him, but she's already there, and she says, "Oh yeah, I'll take you to the freaking the bath," and she does. And they get there, but like you said, Steph, it's this moment, the soup moment here too, when he takes off his helmet. I can't remember, Mike, was it you last week? No, it wasn't last week, but if he's not a Mandalorian right now, and he's going to be a Mandalorian once he bathes, why don't you just take his helmet off leading up to it?
Because Pedro's a busy man right now.
Yes, Pedro's a busy man. That's true. Anyway.
And speaking of that, real quick, I love the fact that this season is now giving equal credit to the other two guys. They're in the main credits at the beginning of every episode.
Good, yeah.
Lateef Crowder and
Brendan Lynn.
Yeah.
Who's coming in next
week. So they get their names on the thing, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah. Right.
So they've accepted that. And Pedro's always been like, it's the three of us doing it.
And that's what I want to talk to Brendan about next week, is that, there's like episodes like this. I just want to, he probably can tell us about the water stuff. And too, like,
I did most of that. I think Lateef does the stunts from what I remember. He does the
stunts. And then Brendan's the one who's doing the walk and the swagger and all that stuff too. So, I mean, why wouldn't you get John Wayne's
King Swagger
to do it? Yeah,
King
for
Swag.
Sure. Okay. So they finally, and you get more. This is the conversation as you start to build this kind of friendship between Bo and Din as they're walking through, and she's telling him all that history. She's telling him about her family. She's telling him about her father, and this is where we get a lot of that information again. And it's not repetitive stuff. She talked to Grogu because we're learning a lot about her inside of this episode.
Not repetitive at all.
No, and they get there. And she reads that Kree off the wall, and she's reading the entire thing that happened from the first Mandalorian, and then Din kind of steps in the wrong spot and just sinks. Why he sinks, who knows? But he sinks all the way to the bottom. And
I thought he got pulled.
I thought he got pulled.
By who?
The Mythosaur.
Mythosaur looked like he was sleeping.
That I thought. I was like, how did it get up there? Did it have a little tentacle that come out?
He fell through or something.
But then why would he just fall to the bottom?
I don't know why he sunk, but he did, because something happened to him. He got pulled in because that wasn't the Mythosaur. Because what the Mythosaur just took him and left him alone? It's like
I was confused.
Well, we're
about
confused.
That
There's
part,
some confusion.
But I thought that I was like, why would you go in if you can't swim?
He sunk. I don't know if he had his jetpack on or not, but he sunk all the way through as the Mythosaur, because the Mythosaur just seems to be chilling. He doesn't be bothering anybody. And then it ends with her just kind of looking off to it, and then Rachel Morrison obviously gets the credit for it. But I think it was it was pretty fantastic episode.
How come then, may I ask, in season 1, when Din kills that one creature and they brand the Mythosaur on his armor, right?
That's not a Mythosaur.
That wasn't a Mythosaur?
No, that was the thing that he
That's the Mandalore's.
The thing that he fights, remember he fights that thing?
Okay.
That's guarding the egg. No, Mythosaur's like 3 times the size of that thing.
I thought that face, because the Mandalores, they've had the Mythosaur.
Yeah, because remember, because Krill says to him, he's in awe of him.
Yeah.
And remember that stuff when Krill is talking to him and says like, it's a rumor that you had fought the big the big Mythosaur, and he knew all the history about him. He was in awe of the Mandalorians, and so they kind of tie that all back together. But I'm loving what they're doing here, man.
Right.
Really loving what they're doing.
I was trying to see if what different articles wrote about that scene, but I haven't seen.
Well, next time.
Yeah.
But anyway, very curious to hear what you guys think about the episode and where we're gonna go with this. Like they don't show previews for next week's episodes on these, do they?
Good.
I haven't seen.
You like that?
Good.
You like that?
I don't want to know anything.
Okay. Don't get upset about it.
Jeez.
I'll get upset.
Take it easy. I like when they show upcoming previews sometimes, but let's see what kind of where we're going. But
like with The Last of Us 2 episodes ago, the preview, I was like, why is there no Joel?
Yeah, which is a smart. Yeah. And I'm playing that. I'm almost done with the game now. But either way, so yeah, it's fun. It's really, this episode was great. I hope that they stick to this 45-minute thing. Go away from, because the 32 minutes to me is cheap. It's cheap. They can afford it. They can build, and it's cheap because it takes away from this this episode will I think proves it. It takes away from character building.
Yeah. You
have like 10 more minutes, and you can add more lines. You can add and I always use that example in Obi-Wan, when Obi-Wan has that line about his brother. Oh my God, expand on that. And that was the best character development they did in that entire show. and it was lost in a lot of different episodes. So, all right, we got some more stories though, man. As we move on past the Mandalorian, let's talk about Star Wars Celebration, because Star Wars Celebration is coming up. It's right around the corner. Star Wars Celebration, and they released the actual panels. And we're not going to go through all the panels, but we're going to go through kind of the ones that are really going to stand out. And I asked both Mike and Steph as we go through these. Obviously, they always kick off. So this usually, sometimes it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This time it's going Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They always kick off with the big panel. And so Friday on April 7th, Lucasfilm's Studio Showcase from 11 to 12:30, an hour and a half, live on the Celebration stage. And it is going to be streamed. I don't know, there was this report that it wasn't going to be streamed. It's being streamed. And Star Wars Celebration returns, launching with a must-see showcase that's going to kick the weekend's festivities into hyperdrive. Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many current and upcoming Star Wars adventures, including The Mandalorian, Andor, and more. Steph, what does that mean?
I don't know exactly what that means, but I think that we're going to get, so it's Mandalorian, Andor, and more. I think it will be maybe some discussion about the next seasons and where they're going with it, specifically with Andor. I don't think that we're going to be getting too much that we don't know about, because Mandalorian, it feels like it'd be too soon to do that. And then Andor, maybe a trailer for Andor?
I think that a trailer for Andor?
Oh no, they're not finished.
Yeah, I don't think they even. No, I don't. I mean, a teaser or something maybe, but probably not. Probably just more information about when it's coming back. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's an
release dates, the plan for it. But
Yeah.
I think it's more just like
it's an hour and a half though, right?
Yeah.
So Mandalorian, you would assume. I think they're gonna have, because Katee already said she's gonna be there, right? So Katee will probably be there. It'll be towards the. Not end yet, but it'll be getting towards the end. Pedro will probably be there. They'll probably have a lot of the cast, and some crazy moments will probably have happened by the time they get there. So the cast will be out there for sure. Andor will probably be out there for sure. So the writer, you're looking at like half an hour, maybe 40 minutes between just those two. Lindelof's coming out. So you starting to change your tune now about that? Lindelof's coming out, and this is where they announce it. And I think
you think that's the and more?
Yeah, and I think because the current crop of filmmakers, I think this is where we get our announcement about the film right away, right off the bat. I'm not happy about this, but I think after this report with Taika, I think Taika's movie's announced as well. I think it's going to be the Lindelof movie and the Taika movie, which I think is a mistake. I think they should just announce the Lindelof movie and say it's going into production then.
Can I just say though? Who told you that the Taika movie was going to happen?
No, you did. It doesn't mean that it's a good movie.
It doesn't mean, well, okay, I rewatched Love and Thunder. I love it still. So I'm not upset about this. Yeah.
Fair
enough. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's just me. I get the criticism, but for me it worked. But I agree. The and more, I think if they're going to kick it off big, then they're going to kick off a movie announcement. I think that seems like from all the news stories we've been hearing in the past few weeks, a movie is going to be announced and it's going to happen, which we didn't know if it was for sure going to be announced because they were kind of getting their things together.
Right.
But I think it is.
You think that the Taika movie is going to be announced?
I think at least one movie is going to be announced.
Lindelof has to be announced.
Yeah.
It's that has to be the number one movie that's going to be announced.
Yeah.
It's just the one that seems to furthest along. If I was going to predict, Mike, I was going to say this because I just combine both stories here with the reports that are coming out. The reports that you sent, as well as a lot of people did once it came out. Patty Jenkins movie, Gonski. Yeah. We knew that was coming, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson movie, pretty much Gonski. Even though that wasn't in the report, but it seems from everything he's working on, Gonski. The Feige movie, gone. I think that's because he's focusing on everything he's got to do at Marvel, and then he's going to eventually take over Lucasfilm. I really do think he's going to, and I think by the time he does, that's
you think so?
I do, and I think that's why he's pulling back on this. But that being said, the Taika one, I thought, and you did too, that one was going to be scrapped as well. Him writing it and co-starring it makes me super nervous.
The co-star part makes me nervous.
It seemed to me, maybe I read it wrong. I thought, oh, he's not writing a movie anymore, but he's going to be starring in a film.
No, he's writing.
So he's writing the movie, he's starring
directing it and co-starring in it. That makes me super nervous because everything he has done that he has written, everything that he has written has been very comedy based.
Here's the
don't think Star Wars needs that right now.
Here's the thing. I see a lot of people talking backlash against him. Like, he had one bad movie, people. And
Right.
the pitchforks are. I was like, no. What happened was, like with the Tim Burton, he was finally, we saw him in full control of what he wanted to do. This is,
Right.
if I'm given free reign,
Right.
this is what I'm going to do with Love
Right.
and Thunder.
You're giving free reign to Star
We've
Wars
seen
now.
before little things, Jojo Rabbit. They've always had bits of Taika in them, but also under studio control and whatnot.
His episode of Mandalorian is fantastic,
but it's under the control of everybody.
100%, and it's not written by him.
Right. But this is him
Yeah.
going, I get free reign and I'm going to star in it. I can say right now, this will probably not be the Star Wars for me.
Because
That's I'll say.
this is what you said that is with Jojo Rabbit and other things too. When I go to see a Taika Waititi movie,
Right.
which is Jojo Rabbit,
Yeah.
I want to see a Taika Waititi.
I want to
movie.
see
When
Hitler dancing.
Well,
Sure.
Well, but it's a Taika Waititi movie, so
Right.
you know when you go to see a movie that is written by Taika Waititi, that is something completely different. You're like, oh, I'm going to see a Taika Waititi movie. This is going to be outrageous, right?
Yeah.
When you go to see a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie directed by him, I want to see a Marvel movie directed by him. I don't want to see a Taika movie that happens to be in Marvel. I don't want to see a Taika movie that happens to be in Star Wars. I want to see a Star Wars movie that's directed by Taika.
It's the differentiation between Love and Thunder and Ragnarok.
100%, because
They're
he didn't write
almost two
because he didn't
vastly
write
different
Ragnarok.
films.
He had added his style and his
style
flavor to it, and he added and he co-wrote things, but he's not credited for the script.
Yeah.
He's credited for the damn script of Ragnarok, and you can tell.
Love and Thunder.
I mean, Love and Thunder. So
Yeah.
and
It'll
the same
be
thing.
a movie for Steph.
I think it's an incredible mistake to do, and I hope that I'm wrong. I hope it turns out to be like, you know what, he went full on like Star Wars
I'll
to
admit
it. Yeah, and absolutely it will. But I'll
own that.
I think it's a bad move. Anyway, that being said, for that Star Wars panel, if you're doing a live filmmaker's like, here's our plan for Star Wars, I think that the Lindelof movie comes out in 2025, the end of 2025, because I think they're going to start shooting it really soon this year, December. And then I think Taika's movie comes out in 2026.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
25 and then 26?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other
We're not
reason,
getting stars for 2025.
no. And the other reason I think that Taika's movie is going to be announced and is going to happen now is because the rumor was that it takes place in the same time period that Lindelof's movie is apparently taking place. And so they're probably, planning it out and structuring
All right,
around
that
it.
lines up.
Right?
Yeah, that lines up.
All right, as we move, if we keep going on, we got a little bit of time left, but then we gotta run. So the next thing and then there's a lot of cool things. The making of Andor season 1 is also in there. So you're gonna have Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna on stage talking about Andor. So if you're gonna
I
get
think that's
anything,
great.
yeah, and if you're gonna get anything about Andor, like whether it's season 2 a little bit more, you're probably gonna get more information in that panel than anything else. Why wouldn't you save it? The same way that for Mandalorian, you remember last year, they did a little bit more at the Mandalorian panel than they did at that massive panel. Saturday, this is going to be huge. From 11 to 12, to start it off is the Ahsoka panel. And that is on the Galaxy and Twin Suns, and it says Dave Filoni, Favreau, and special guests for a look at the upcoming Disney Plus series Ahsoka. When we read this before we went on air, Steph, you said something I think is completely true. What do you think is going to happen?
The entire cast and Ezra unveiling.
Yeah, and I think a full trailer.
Yeah.
A full,
sure.
Because last celebration we got a clip
Yeah.
and then Rosario Dawson checking in. This is for sure a trailer.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot more about what it's about. We're going to learn. We're going to get not only Ezra. We're going to
Thrawn.
find out who Thrawn is. We're going to find out who Hera is. Will we find out if Zeb's coming back or not? We'll find out all this. I think there's going to be tons of information that comes out of that one. So I think look forward to that one because that's going to be massive. You get the High Republic. They have their own thing that's, I think, a lot of on the Galaxy stage. So I guess a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. 40 years Return of the Jedi. That's crazy. The Young Jedi Adventure screening. They're gonna debut that. That'll be
cool.
That'll be good. Hasbro is doing a Star Wars and Indiana Jones panel. I was at first I was like, what are they doing another Indiana Jones thing? It's not Star Wars, but it's like whatever. It's Lucasfilm and they're doing some Hasbro thing. Clone Wars 15-year anniversary panel, and then
That's crazy.
It's nuts. Now Sunday, day 3, April 9th, the villains of the sequel trilogy got Andy Serkis, Ian McDermott, Gwendolyn Christie, all on stage to talk about the villainous roles. Now that's because it's a fun panel, but it looks like they're kind of running out of steam of like any big announcements or anything too.
I'm going to say this because I'm looking over this thing and I'm surprised you haven't said it yet. Where's the Acolyte?
Acolyte's going to be probably in that first panel.
It's coming up. Does it
No,
deserve its
no,
own
no.
panel though? Shouldn't it have its
No,
own
not
panel?
yet.
Okay.
No, and it's just me saying this. Not yet because I think if if Star Wars Celebration, it won't, but if Star Wars Celebration was happening next year,
Yeah.
that's when the Acolyte would have its own panel, because it's not coming. We don't even know when it's coming out. I think you're
Oh,
going
I
to
thought
get
it was coming out in spring of
2023.
yeah.
No, comes out in 2024.
No, I thought spring of 2024. Yeah.
It comes out in 2020. Yeah, but
Like a
not
year from now.
But not enough. I mean, Ahsoka's right around the corner.
Right.
So
And Ahsoka
it would make sure to have its own panel.
Okay.
Like Acolyte's a little like Acolyte needs to. I think in that panel though, that
But what if
first
they
panel,
don't mention
at all,
anything?
it's just crazy.
That's
They're
what I'm saying.
going to.
is
I
crazy.
What if they
think
don't?
They'll bring out some cast because I think
Okay.
that they're filming in London for the Acolyte.
Yeah, they have to do something.
Okay.
Acolyte is going to have something.
It just
at
seems
that
like
I think
every
panel
show
one.
has got like either a panel or a look back.
Yeah.
Except
They
that.
might do what they did with Ahsoka.
What about
for Last
Skeleton Crew?
Celebration.
There's
Yeah,
no talking
good stuff.
Skeleton Crew either.
Yeah,
Last
same time. Good.
Okay.
Last Celebration, I think, was in the same timeline as Acolyte is now. That was Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So we got, like I said, a little clip and Rosario Dawson checking in.
Yep.
I think that we'll get something similar, if not some of the cast actually coming on stage, because I do think that they're still filming, and I think that they're in London.
I think Acolyte. I think Skeleton Crew. I
Yeah.
think all of that is
Maybe
going to be.
Jude Law.
I think that's all going to be for the first panel.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
I
Yeah, 'cause
agree.
It's about all the projects, because it does say in that thing that all the projects kind
Totally.
of coming
I
up.
didn't think about that,
Yeah.
but for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're doing visual effects of Andor. That's going to be on April 9th. I mean, it does seem like there's some fun panels on April 9th, but nothing completely mind-blowing, right? You get the visual effects of Andor, hyperspace stories, Dark Horse Horizons, Dark Horse comic books returns, a look back at Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I guess Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen,
That'd be
Adira
kinda cool.
Varma, and Vivian Lyra Blair, and Deborah Chow all on stage. So that could be fun. Cosplay competitions.
That's interesting that, what's her name?
Deborah Chow?
No.
I know
Leia?
you're talking about. Nope.
No.
The Inquisitor.
Moses.
Moses
Yeah.
Ingram's not going
Yeah.
to be there.
Moses Ingram. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. She's not gonna be there. She's probably working actually.
All right. So
She's
let's.
probably
Yeah,
booked.
she's probably over it.
off of it.
Probably over it. Lucasfilm Publishing Stories is going to be there, and then so Monday, the last day is Monday, April 10th, and that's the Bad Batch, which I understand why they have a panel, but they're going to be on the celebration stage. Okay, then Make Mine Marvel Star Wars Live in the Galaxy stage, Visions Volume 2, which I'm sure Steph will be at for sure if she's there. Doug Chang is talking about designing Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Mandalorian, and then the closing ceremony is at 5 o'clock on Monday. So I would say that obviously it's always the first one, usually it's Thursday morning, but it'll be Friday morning, hour and a half panel, all that information and more. Everybody will be tuned in about what the hell they're talking about. Special, I mean, I don't know if John Williams will be there again, but
Maybe Ludwig.
maybe I didn't realize he's not doing the music for this season.
Nope.
Yeah,
He does
It
the
is
theme.
different.
Yeah, it's different. Who's doing? Do you know who the
I don't
composer is?
know.
I'm not sure. I wonder why he's not doing it this
That's
year.
interesting.
Busy guy. He's
Maybe.
been on everything.
Probably.
Now.
But either way, I mean, you look at all that stuff and you look at this information that comes out right beforehand with the movies, movie news, TV projects. Do we get before we because with that hour and a half panel, I think that takes away the possibility of announcing new shows. And I think that I don't think we're going to get any new show announcements.
I don't think so either.
I think they got a lot they're working on, and they got the movie stuff going. So yeah.
If we get anything announced, it's new. It's the two. So what? How many movies, if any, do they announce?
Now 2.
You think they're going to announce 2?
Seeing that they just dropped this news right now.
Well, they didn't drop it, but it's been the
Well, the
news was
story
reported.
broke.
Right.
No Patty, no Feige. Taika's definitely doing. So I think Taika's as far enough away as like, oh, I want to star in this. I was writing it. I want to star in it. And the Lindelof's going to go. So I say 2 movies.
I think one.
You think
Now
one?
that
Which one?
we've talked about the Acolyte.
You think Taika?
and-
Oh.
No, I think it's going to be Lindelof.
You think it'd be Lindelof
Yeah.
as well? You think they'll hold back on the Taika?
Yes. Yeah.
And then I think that they'll show. I think they won't show too much Ahsoka because they have that full panel, which I think they did that for Mandalorian. Was too. It's focus on Acolyte. Show. I mean, maybe a teaser of Acolyte, cast of Acolyte for sure. Skeleton Crew for sure. I bet you Jude Law is there, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think they focus in on those full episodes. But I think Thursday's going to. I keep saying Thursday. The Friday panel is going to be the talk of the
I agree.
celebration. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. What do you guys think? Do you like the panel so far? What do you think is going to happen? And give me your predictions for sure, and let me know exactly what you think is going to go down to Star Wars Celebration. What do you think about the news with Taika Waititi, and what do you think about the news with Kevin Feige and all that and more? Patty Jenkins. Make sure your comments are known. Steph, World Girls, where else can they find you?
Just at Steph Sabra.
Michael Kalinowski, where can they find
At
you?
Mike Kalinowski.
There you go. Thank you guys again for joining us. I appreciate you. And if you haven't already done it, we did it, guys. We didn't get there yet, but we got close.
69, dude!
That's right. We are at 69. We're close to 70, but we need you guys to keep hitting that button. Do it, and let the English see you do it. So make sure you go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are found. Make sure you do that. Get yourself one of those shirts, man, or sweatshirt. Sith Council, baby. Do it. Patreon.com/The Big Thing Show. All right. For myself and Mike Kalinowski and Steph Sabra, Big Thing Sith Council. See you on the flip side. Peace.
I